Imagine two people living in the same city, working the identical job, and pulling in the exact same salary of $75,000 a year. On paper, their lives look indistinguishable. Yet, if you fast forward 2 decades, you find a jarring contrast. One is sitting comfortably on a porch they fully own, completely debt-free, while their investments quietly multiply in the background. The other is trapped in the exact same paycheck-to-paycheck loop they were in 20 years ago, constantly stressed and wondering where the cash vanished. It is a wild realization that matching incomes can produce entirely different realities. Statistics actually back up this paradox. Data shows that over a third of people making upwards of $200,000 a year, nearly triple the average national salary, still report living paycheck to paycheck. This proves that a high income is never a guarantee of wealth. True financial freedom is entirely about your habits, your inner mindset, and crucially, how much of that money you actually manage to keep. When you look closely at why high earners end up broke, it usually boils down to 3 massive pitfalls, starting with lifestyle inflation. It is a natural human reaction to want an upgrade the moment a raise hits your bank account. You get a better apartment, sign a lease on a flashier car, and start dining at nicer restaurants because you feel you have earned it. But when your expenses rise in perfect tandem with your paycheck, your net worth stays exactly where it started. Truly wealthy individuals usually do not flash their cash. They tend to drive modest vehicles and live in sensible homes rather than ballooning their expenses every time they get a bump in pay. Think of your income as your offense. It puts points on the board. Your spending control is your defense. You can possess the most explosive offense in the league, but if your defense is non-existent, you are going to lose the game. Even small, conscious defensive choices compound massively over time. Finding a way to save just a small amount daily adds up to nearly $2,000 over a year, giving you capital to invest without forcing you to work a single extra hour. The second major anchor is the trap of high-interest consumer debt. Consider the contrast. If one person is carrying a heavy credit card balance at a steep 20% interest rate, pouring hundreds of dollars a month into just keeping their head above water, after a year of intense sacrifice, they have absolutely nothing to show for it, except a zeroed-out balance. Meanwhile, someone entirely debt-free can take that exact same monthly sum and channel it directly into a broad market index fund. Over decades, thanks to the magic of compounding returns, where your earnings generate their own earnings, that consistent contribution mushrooms into a life-changing nest egg. The debt-free individual didn't work any harder. They simply refused to let interest payments drag them down. Paying interest on things that actively lose value, like a heavily financed new vehicle, guarantees your money evaporates instead of working for you. The final mistake is a simple lack of awareness, not tracking where the money actually goes. When we pull out a credit card, psychological studies show our brains treat it like a reward, making the transaction feel almost free because we do not physically witness our resources leaving us. This trick of the mind causes us to consistently underestimate our spending. The remedy is straightforward, but requires consistent discipline. Keeping a daily log of every single transaction and reviewing it monthly forces you to look at the cold, hard numbers. Once everything is laid out in black and white, you can no longer rationalize poor choices, and that blunt awareness naturally shifts your behavior. Building genuine wealth requires replacing these traps with powerful habits, starting with the undeniable advantage of investing early. The math behind a head start is almost jarring. If you start investing a modest amount annually at age 20 and stop completely after just 10 years, your total contribution is relatively small. If someone else waits until age 30 but invests that identical annual amount continuously for 35 years, the early starter still finishes with a significantly larger nest egg at retirement. A 10-year head start can easily outwork 3.5 decades of frantic later life contributions because time is the one financial ingredient you can never recover. Pair this with the habit of paying yourself first. Human nature dictates that we will spend whatever liquidity is sitting in our checking accounts. To beat this, you must automate your savings. The literal second your income arrives, a set percentage should automatically jump into your investment vehicles before a single bill or grocery item is paid for. You learn to live on the remainder and naturally adapt your lifestyle to fit the new balance. At its core, this requires understanding the fundamental difference between assets and liabilities. An asset is anything that actively funnels cash into your pocket, such as stocks, real estate, or a thriving side hustle. A liability is anything that continuously drains cash out of your pocket, like high-interest loans and luxury goods bought on credit. True wealth building is simply the process of accumulating assets while aggressively minimizing liabilities. This structural shift is heavily dictated by your underlying mindset. A scarcity mindset hoards cash out of fear, keeping capital frozen in low-yield accounts where inflation slowly eats it away. An abundance mindset views capital as a dynamic tool to generate more value, willingly investing in skills, education, or market assets because the focus is on the potential return rather than the fear of nominal loss. Turning these concepts into reality requires a structured, deliberate blueprint. First, you must aggressively eliminate high-interest consumer debt to free up your cash flow. Second, automate your investments so the decision-making process is entirely removed from your daily routine. Third, commit to the unglamorous but necessary rule of living comfortably below your means. Finally, maintain a strict, written budget. It isn't a restriction on your freedom, but a clear roadmap to your goals. My name is Moz, and on this channel, we focus on breaking down these exact wealth-building strategies into simple, actionable steps. Ultimately, the divide between financial stress and total independence isn't determined by luck or secret tips. It is built quietly, day by day, through the decisions you make when no one else is watching. The absolute best time to start taking control was yesterday, but the second best time is right now.